Welcome to Swartz Shorts, the podcast all about the entrepreneurial ecosystem at Carnegie Mellon University and the larger Pittsburgh community.
Today, we are thrilled to be joined by Asha Banks. Asha is an alumna of Carnegie Mellon, receiving her MBA from the Tepper School of Business in 2020. Currently, she is the founder and CEO of CheerNotes, an inclusive greeting card company, which we are excited to dive into shortly. And Asha, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be a part of it.
Awesome. Well, Asha, before we dive in a little bit deeper into CheerNotes, I know Pat's got a lot of questions for you, but we just want to know a little bit, what's going on with you right now, and tell us a little bit about your background and what led you to this moment with this business.
Right now, we have the holiday season going, so that's one of the biggest times for greeting cards. And we made our first greeting card line for the holidays. So we started designing our own products as well as carrying different indie designers. So it's been busy just getting orders out, trying to make sure people have them in time to send out for the holidays. But to answer the second part of your question, how did I get here? Actually started building businesses when I was in grade school, mostly service-based businesses. And then around junior high, I started making hair and skin products with natural ingredients because we just couldn't find any that met the special needs of the black hair structure. So I just did a deep dive into the unique aspects of our hair and started mixing things, and people wanted to buy it. And I had this business that I didn't know what to do with it, but that actually led me to my first career, which was in chemical engineering. So I ended up working within that field for 7 years, doing both manufacturing work and then moving into more of an internal consulting role that got me closer to the business side of things. And I decided that I wanted to kind of go back to the beginning and really tap into my love of business and take a chance on myself. So I ended up leaving that career behind, coming to business school, and working on building a business while I was in business school.
It's amazing. Okay, so you went from chemical engineering to greeting cards. What brought you to that level of like creativity, or did you see it in chemical engineering and you wanted to apply it somewhere else? But yeah, what were the motivations for making that career switch?
Yeah, so I wouldn't consider myself an artist. I would consider myself a creative. And so I worked with creatives. Some of the businesses I started were creative focused. I was a consultant for artists of different mediums. So I was very much into that world, but the same problem that led me to want to create hair products back when I was in junior high was the same problem I saw with greeting cards. And that was, we were consumers, but nobody was designing for us. Nobody was creating things that had our unique experiences, likeness, or anything like that in mind. And so when I noticed this problem again, just trying to shop for family and friends, I decided I wanted to do something about it. I didn't want to wait another 30 years for Hallmark or some bigger player to finally say okay, you're worth designing for. So it's really problem solving at heart, and that's kind of what engineering is all about as well, figuring out innovative ways to solve problems, create new things. I'm really into creating systems and all of these things. So a lot of transferable skills lend themselves to what I'm doing now, even though I'm not wearing a hard hat or anything like that anymore. I'm still using an analytical mind to solve the problems that I face in this new world that I'm in.
Awesome. Yeah, Asha, you and I were classmates at the Tepper School, pandemic-shortened class of 2020. I was fortunate enough to see the early stages of CheerNotes as you were getting it off the ground at Carnegie Mellon in entrepreneurship classes and the Swartz Center. Tell us a little bit about that process of starting a business at Carnegie Mellon, working with the resources of the school and the Swartz Center, and maybe how that has helped you get to the point where you are today.
Yeah, for sure. I actually came into CMU with a totally different business idea. And I spent the whole first year of the program invalidating that idea. I was doing crazy customer discovery and all of these things, participating in things like the McGinnis competition and other ways to just pressure test my idea. And I ended up invalidating that idea. But over the summer, I started working on CheerNotes. And so to be able to make both of those, to be able to do both of those things, both the first year and the second year, I really tapped into things like the Connect series. I was pretty much at every single one. And if you're unfamiliar with the Connect series, that is kind of like a lunch and learn that's held at the Sports Center. And it's an opportunity for literally anybody in the Pittsburgh entrepreneurial ecosystem to come learn from other people. They could be professors from CMU, they could be VCs, they could be branding experts, just all of these people willing to pour into students of all ages. And I learned a lot through those experiences. With CheerNotes, I was able to participate in NSF Core. So that was an opportunity to really improve how I was doing customer discovery. I thought I was doing it right. I had a lot to learn, and I got a lot better at it from doing that program. So just really tapping into the different programs that they have at CMU, but also talking to a lot of alums. Alums were the reason why I got my internship in the Bay. Alums were the reason why I was able to connect with different people to talk about CheerNotes. And I think that all of this together creates just a really supportive ecosystem to start and like explore the idea of trying to start a business.
Yeah, that's great. And we talk about the Carnegie Mellon ecosystem, and you talked about some of the resources you benefited from. One thing that I think is interesting about CheerNotes is, Carnegie Mellon has a reputation for being such a tech capital and tech school, but really there's a long and successful history of businesses with physical products that are enabled by technology coming out of Carnegie Mellon. I think of Chula, or I think of Meredith Grelly at Wiggle Whiskey. Tell us a little bit about CheerNotes is physical greeting cards, but it's very much tech enabled. Tell us a little bit about building a business at that intersection.
Yeah, so I actually was an outlier for many of the startups that were in the sports center or coming to the Connect series. A lot of people were doing things with robotics and building SaaS companies, and I wasn't doing that. And so a great amount of our core competencies in terms of entrepreneurs and experts and residents do have that expertise. But I was still able to connect with people that had experience with consumer brands. I ended up tapping into a lot of my professors as well, like marketing professors that worked with large brands, et cetera, and also some part-time students that were in consumer brand companies right now and able to lend their expertise. So I think that even though my business type was a little bit atypical for the school, I was still able to get a lot of support and have a different way of looking at things than I would have if I was only in a consumer space, because the things that I'm thinking about are not only about creating the physical products, but how do I leverage tech to better scale our products, to create products in a new way, to create higher quality products at maybe a lower price, so that I can pass that savings on to customers. So I can think about all of these different things together because I'm getting the expertise from both ends.
Yeah, that's great. And what a powerful purpose to your company, and to be able to build that out of CMU is really inspiring. And I feel glad to have been able to witness some of the early stages. Super excited to hear some of the progress. The purpose of this podcast is really bringing awareness to some of the great companies that are coming out of CMU, have been created out of CMU. And the power of the CMU network is that we're always able to help each other grow and scale and build successful businesses. Tell our listeners maybe an item or two that they could help you with as you're building and growing CheerNotes. How can we be helpful as a CMU ecosystem in continuing to build CheerNotes into the fantastic brand that you've created?
Thank you for asking. I think one of the biggest ways that anyone can be helpful is through sharing our story. Word of mouth has been one of the main ways that customers discover us. We do a little exit survey after each order, and that still remains to be one of the key ways that people find out about our store in general. So just sharing the story, whether it's to a creative that might want to be able to express themselves. We work with people that make cards and people that don't make cards. and we're able to do the production of the cards for them. So it's not only indie card companies, but also artists of different mediums that we can work with. I think the word of mouth also helps with collaboration. So I've been able to collaborate with an entity called Vault Art Studios, which is right in Pittsburgh. It's a project of Achieva, and the whole studio is made up of artists with disabilities. And we have two collections that we carry from their artists. And that only came from somebody that I met at one of the many sports center events that said, "Hey, I don't know what this could be, but you guys should definitely connect." So that kind of word of mouth and just introducing us really helps. And it also helps with us getting into retail placement. So one of the things that we've been expanding is our wholesale presence so that we can be in retail stores. And we are now offered in Wildcard, right in Lawrenceville. And that also happens because of connections. So just having that word of mouth help is really powerful for not only how we're able to produce more designs that connect with different communities, but also expand our footprint.
That's great. And where can folks find CheerNotes cards for the holidays?
Yes, you can come to CheerNotes.com. Cards are selling out pretty fast, so you definitely want to come by now. But CheerNotes.com is the one-stop shop for being able to find all of the cards that we design ourselves, and also the cards that we carry from over 25 indie artists and card companies.
Very good. Very good. Well, Asia, thanks so much for taking time out of your day to speak with us. We're really excited to see the continued growth of CheerNotes.
Thank you, and congratulations on your show. Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, Asia.